back to another episode of A Tribe Called Dylan podcast. I'm Angie Dillon.
And I'm Rose Dillon.
And I'm Alvin Dillon.
And we're back. I'm trying to think, should I go to win of the week or should we just go right into the segment?
No, let's always do win of the week.
Win of the week is like our tradition now.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Who wants to go first? We go rock, paper, scissors?
Me, I'll go.
Okay. I was ready to do rock, paper, scissors.
No, because I have a good one.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So my friend came down from Seattle to visit me, and she was like, we'll meet at 9 a.m. to do a hike. And I haven't done a hike, you guys. I want to take a good hike, probably 2 years. 6 miles.
Whoa.
It was supposed to be 3 miles, but I think it's slow because we had to park farther down. I came back. I was like, okay, my knees. And then we went out and downtown had some events going on. So we went and checked out the events. We came back, we changed, we went for dinner. And then we went dancing for another 3 hours.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
My watch did a thing of like record break of the amount of steps you take, the movements you made. And I was like, yeah, I feel it. My knees feel it. But it just sparked up my interest and love again for hiking. So This is the start of my hiking.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm really excited about that.
How long was the hike though?
3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but we stopped a lot of ways, took some videos, and got mesmerized by the scenery. But and I'm sure I held them back, but
You're good sports.
they were good sports.
Good.
Probably like, you're from Vancouver and you don't know how to hike?
Right? No, again, it's been a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
That's
for
it.
you, Rose. What about you, Al?
Mine's going to be a renovation related / learning
I have to
how to
interrupt.
hula hoop.
I do have to interrupt though. You got another win right now on the podcast with that hot pink shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Woo woo! Can I get a little win for that?
Woo! You look like a watermelon, but the inside.
I'm sitting right next to him like that.
Al, if you had green pants on, you look like a watermelon.
Oh.
That's a win right there.
Then it'd be like mind blasting.
As they say, real men wear pink.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, I'm rocking colors,
Good for you.
finding them. They're all there. I just haven't been able to get to them. I just kind of like pull out the first shirt I have in the closet. It works. It doesn't need to be ironed. That's the shirt I'll wear. If something needs to be ironed, it usually gets pushed to the
I
side.
Like me.
Also, as summer makes you bring out the colors in your wardrobe, right?
Funny that it's
Well,
summer.
mine too. I'm wearing black.
I know, I'm wearing black
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
We only have like 3 months to wear clothing like it's our short sleeve. Come September, it's long sleeve, sweater, hoodie material.
Yeah. Go on. Let's talk about your major
Your real win.
one of the wins, I said the major one, I did the hula hoop. And I think I lasted a good 20, 30 seconds on that. Longer than I expected.
Yep.
Oh,
So-
you're a very good hula hooper. I remember you and I used to hula hoop when we were younger.
Yeah.
Were you good? Or
little
I don't
rusty.
think he was good. You were always good.
I was good up here.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Al was good.
No.
Those hips don't lie.
Yeah, his hips do lie.
Okay. Guys are lying now. Maybe it's aging now.
No, Al was just never good at hula hoop. That was your thing.
Oh.
You were always the
Yeah,
queen of hula hooping.
I'm not ravishing recruit. I can't gyrate my hips that good.
A ravishing recruit. His hips.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go on. Let's go back to your major win.
Oh, the other win was I soundproofed one of the rooms. It got done because we're having issues with sound transfer from upstairs to downstairs. And because we're doing the renos and like we ripped the carpet, I'm like, this is the only opportunity to do this and fix this problem. Otherwise, moving forward, we're going to have that same issue. So I got there, took out the tools, had measured everything up, cut it out, put soundproof insulation there, put the plywood back down. And the cuts were really good. I was actually impressed with my cuts, like no filler needed. It was like probably within like less than 1/8 of an inch. So
Wow.
it was like fit like a glove.
Very good, Al. Impressive wins.
Thank you.
Do you find now that we're doing this win of the week segment that you're looking out for things that you've done in the week to like, hey, this was a really good
Yeah,
win.
I didn't realize before that I'd be doing a lot of things or that I should look back and be like, yeah, you're proud of that. And I would just look it over like, okay, move on to the next one. But now I actually take a minute to be like, oh yeah, I did that. And I learned that skill. Oh, I can do that again now. Yeah, my next task or my next thing, my win was when I actually complete it, I'm going to try to tile one of our walls. I'm going to start with a square wall. And then if that works, then I'm going to go to another piece that's got some angles. Yep.
That's excellent. Amazing stuff. I've noticed that as well now that I reintroduced win of the week back into my life. I'm now catching like, hey, things that I never would really give myself credit to. I'm like, I would always be so hard on myself. Now I kind of look back, I'm like, hey, you go, girl. That was a really good one. And I'm now my dialogue, inner dialogue is becoming much more better and kinder to myself. So for me, I'm not much of a runner or a jogger. That's always been you. I'm kind of like the elliptical girl, like moving the whole body. But I actually went for a jog last week and I went around 8 o'clock. I usually go around between 5 to 6. And I just find it, the roads are so congested, there's lots of, kids around, people riding their bike, they're coming home, and it's probably just not a good time to be going. And it's still quite warm out at that time. So I went for a light jog. I think it was 8:00 in the evening, one of the nights last week. It was really nice, and I had a really great sleep.
Good. Isn't that great?
Yeah. I'm addicted to it because you kind of get that runner's high we were talking about before. You feel good because I've been having trouble sleeping for the last few weeks. And so I was trying to do all these strategies and tactics. Like you take the magnesium, you take other things and you take stuff and you do the meditation music, and it only lasts for so long.
Right.
Like you can go to sleep, but the thing is you can't stay asleep.
Yes.
Right. So that helped me to stay asleep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I have another win. This is on behalf of my niece, Simi. We were at the party the other day, and she was sitting on my lap, and then she jumped down and she went on the ground and just started crouching. I didn't pay attention. I was like, and then a couple minutes later, I was like, wait, what is she doing? She grabbed me from the ground. I'm like, Simi, what are you doing? And she's like, just give it a look. And I was like, are you pooing? She's like, and she just squatted down and just stayed there for a couple minutes and pooed. And I was like, respect.
Did she poo in a diaper?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, good.
And then my cousin came and I was like, hey man, does she have a diaper on? She's like, oh, she's pooing right now. She's like, oh damn. I was like, imagine if we could do that. Just sit there and be like, hey man, give me a second. I'm gonna go poo right here in front of everybody.
But look how cute that was. She's trying to find an area to be discreet. So she decided to go under the table.
Yeah. So then I looked at her, I was like, that's winning. Right there. I was like, that's winning.
Oh boy. That's a series number 2 situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into today's content. It's a topic that's there's a lot of buzz about it right now. Mental health issues, as we know, post-pandemic. Everyone's going through something. We're all struggling with something. And I think it's about time that we start talking about some of these things that are affecting all of us, or if we know someone that is affected by it. This topic that we're going to talk about today, I think each one of us can relate to it because we have had our bout with it, or we are experiencing some form of anxiousness or anxiety in our life. But I wanted to tell you, I did a stat, and I think this is a recent stat. So the World Health Organization has actually advised global leaders. Now, this is obviously for those people that work in organizations for businesses, because right now we've got the great resignation where people are just quitting their jobs. Everyone's just fed up with things. And it's just the perspective of working and living to work and working to live. That whole philosophy has changed now with everyone. And what they're saying is that they want leaders to pay attention to the health and well-being of their employees now, because given the rising rates of depression and anxiety, and not sure if you guys know about this, but there's been a massive health wake-up call saying that depression and anxiety-related cases are on the rise, and they have increased by 25% in the past year. And this is globally.
Wow.
That's
That's alarming.
Yeah. Honestly, I actually think the number's probably higher than that.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted that scare us.
It's based off
it's higher.
Yeah.
And it's also based off the person who's experiencing it going to report it to their doctor and go through that process. There could be a lot of people who are just suffering in silence.
Yes. There's a lot of people suffering in silence. Absolutely.
Because there's shame and anxiety, right? When people say to you, what's wrong with you? Get out of your head and stuff. That's easier said than done because we don't know a person's struggle. We don't know. And you have to understand there's times in our life where we're going to feel anxious about things. Is it going to last us for the rest of our life? We don't know. It very well could be for some individuals. But the goal is to try and figure out what the root cause of the anxiety is and try and build, and find coping mechanisms to try and at least navigate through the issue where at least you can coexist with anxiety, right? But this is a different beast. And I just feel we need to talk about it. I'm starting to experience it now as I'm getting older. And for me, it's more hormonal related. But to be an individual that's never suffered from anxiety and now suddenly to feel all wackadoodle inside, you're like, what is going on? And there's some days where it's bizarre because your mind plays tricks on you where you're just like, you don't even feel like getting out of bed. You're like, there's nothing wrong with my life.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm kind of starting to experience some level of weirdness and some level of anxiousness, I'm like, other people have got to be feeling the same way. Let's talk about this. Let's erase the stigma around anxiety. Millions of people around the world are suffering with anxiety. And you know what? We have to have a community now, a global community where we all support one another and stop looking down on each other for things that we think that we should be brushing it off.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep.
I want to talk about here, for Elle, I'll get to you, or either one of you can answer this. Just put your hand up so we're not cross-talking over top of each other. But what gets you anxious or nervous these days?
For me, it's kind of a variety of things, but I'd say one of the more pressing ones was you look back or you just take a stand or you take a look at your current situation. You say, how did I get here? And then you kind of worry about what the future is going to look like. And you say, if I don't kind of get a hold of this anxiety or these kind of thoughts now, like this depression feeling, what's it going to be like in the future? Is it going to get worse? Am I going to go down this rabbit hole and fall deeper into it? Because you hear so many cases of people, just calling it quits and ending their life or suffering in silence and not talking about it. And you just find out they passed away. So I feel like those kinds of, I tend to have like a fear of what's going to happen next. And I try to control that part, but you always tell yourself, it's okay. We can't control that. We live for today. And sometimes it lasts for a few hours. And then that thought comes back again of like, what about tomorrow? What about next week? And it's kind of dealing with that. It's just kind of figuring out, okay, it's okay. Don't worry about the future. Let's focus on now. But I don't know if it's like we're all naturally hardwired to like worry about it, or if it's our upbringing that taught us to always be in fear of something. So it's always like you're trying to be like, I don't want to be fearful of anything. And my biggest thing is being fearful of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. And that's what anxiety is, right? Because anxiety is that fear of the future, right? Because you're actually not living presently, right?
And
if you're in the moment, then at least you can control the thoughts. But anxiety is that stress of what's to come. Yeah,
and it's sometimes those thoughts that come are always like a what if this happens, or what if that happens. It's literally a what if situation. You're like, why am I wasting all this energy on what if? Like, right. So yeah, it's a daily battle, that you got to work through. And I didn't really experience much of that before. It's only happened in the last few years. And I think the pandemic basically just heightened it and brought it to like the forefront and made it a priority and said, okay, now we have to deal with this.
Yeah, I agree. Rose, you?
Yeah. I was thinking about this because I listened to like a lot of the podcasts that talk about these things, when you're just wanting to investigate further. And it was like, one of them was saying, we are biologically programmed to have anxiety because when we were living like without all the resources we have, we were in the jungle, we were always having to be worried if a tiger is going to eat us for dinner. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of this anxiety is just deeply rooted in us. And now that we have, four walls and don't have to worry about it, I don't think the body caught up to that or the mind has caught up to that. Mm-hmm. You're okay. You're going to be safe. So we find other things to worry about. Mm-hmm. So like, I know for me, like I'll find things about even just going to the airports now, I get anxious because it's so busy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, did I forget my Nexus card? Did I get my this? Like, there's just so many things that are coming at us in all different directions that I think that's what's fueling everyone's anxiety, is that the list of things and the stuff coming at you is just like quadrupled, or maybe I would say like more than that in the last 3 to 5 years. And so for me, I know that's sometimes where my anxiety will kind of come. I've always had anxiety. I've been someone, like you guys know, I've had anxiety since I was probably 9 or 10 years old. So for me, I've suffered through anxiety pretty much my whole life. I've had anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and they just come out of nowhere, and it feels like it's a heart attack. It's usually not, but it feels like that. But you feel like your whole world is just coming to an end. And I've gotten really good control over it. And I'd say the past 18 months, I knock on wood, but it's definitely something that's still a part of me that I have to work through all the time. Mm-hmm. How about you?
For me, what gets me anxious, looking at my question, nervous, well, obviously it's hormones. I'm at that age where, I'm in my 40s, and now you're approaching, well, I haven't hit 50 yet, but it's down the road. It's coming there. I can see the life, the side of the line, and your hormones are changing. I think work stress pressures. But I think the biggest reason is I think we are a generation that is so overly stimulated with just junk and stuff. Prior to social media, I think our world was a little more quieter. You had to read books, or you had to pick up the phone call. And, and prior to even mobile phones, you'd have to pray and make sure that someone picked up their house phone, because that's the only number we had. Now, if you can't get a hold of somebody by calling them, you can, try and text them, reach them on Twitter, DM them. It's just everything's coming at you from all different angles. And same thing for content. There's an overstimulation of fake news, this news, breaking news, world news. Did you hear this? Everyone is sharing content. I don't know how many times in a day people will share maybe similar pieces of content coming at me. And I have now programmed myself, and coming from a background in journalism, I was always taught, don't read the news, don't pay attention to what's out there, unless you can go and try and save the world. just stay away from that stuff because it's really going to have a mental effect on your psyche. So there are times where someone will say to me, hey, did you watch the news? This is happening. I'm like, and I have no clue, because if it doesn't affect my actual physical, like the people that are in my life, I don't really care. Unfortunately, can I stop the war in Ukraine? No, I feel terrible for the people that are what's happening to the people in Ukraine. But I mean, am I going to absorb all that stress and then take it upon myself not to be anxious at what's happening?
Yeah.
So I just think we're a generation that we're way too stimulated. We have, stimulants every single place. And now people are unfortunately turning to other substances to try and calm their nerves and things because we are stimulated. So for me, I try and control who am I around, what am I watching, what is coming through my social media channels. I don't actually have a social media account. I just created one now because of the podcast. But even with our Tribe Called Dylan podcast, I limit the amount of time that I'm on social media. My bubble is really just about my well-being now. So I'm finding that I can control some level of anxiety. But of course, the hormonal anxiety you can't control when you're going to get a hot flash or, when your mood is up and down because your Aunt Flo's coming to visit you and you know that the cycle's not going to be very good. Right. So I just think one word to take away is we're an overly stimulated generation and we got to change that, find a way to change that.
Yes, agreed with you.
Okay. Now you just touched up that you said that you suffered a panic attack or an anxiety attack. Can you talk about that? And when did they occur? When did they start? And you said it feels like you're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first memory of when you had one?
My very first memory of being extremely frightened, and I think that's what caused the anxiety, was when we were in Fiji. And I remember having to go to the bathroom. It was like at 10 o'clock at night. So my uncle owned a home where the bathrooms are, it's a third world country. So the outhouse. Yeah. And the bathroom is outdoors. It's different. It's got kind of like a barn. And so I went in there and just peeing. And all of a sudden something comes and sits on my foot. And I'm like, the hell? And it's heavy and I can't move my foot. And I'm finished peeing. And so I'm telling my cousin outside, I'm like, I can't move my foot. Something's blocking me. And so he's like, okay, hang on. So he took his flashlight and he puts it through the kind of the crevice of the door. And I look down and there's a giant bullfrog wrapped around my foot and the eyes going, whoop, whoop. And I went, I screamed so loud that he had to bang the door open and get me out. Pulled it off me. But I don't know what it was. That experience from that moment on, I was just in panic mode. And I think I didn't have anyone around me to calm me down. They thought it was funny. They were all laughing about it. And I remember not sleeping the whole night. I think I went to the bathroom and peed probably 40 times, just constantly. And from that was the start of getting nervous. And then that feeling of I have to figure this out by myself.
The heart fluttering.
The oh my God, anxiousness, the scariness, what's going to happen next? Now I look back to myself and okay, to that 9-year-old little girl, that frog wasn't going to eat you, but you can't tell a little 9-year-old girl this thing wrapped around her she's never seen before. Yeah. And it feels like it's coming for you, So that was definitely my very first experience of having an anxiety attack, where I didn't understand that was an anxiety attack until you go through counseling and they kind of unlayer, uncode that for you and help you understand that's where it started for me. My last panic attack was, oh my God, last November, not that long ago. Wow. Yeah. And I called the emergency and I was like, I'm having a heart attack. They came to my hotel and she was like, yeah, you're having a panic attack. I'm like,
how do they know the difference? I guess
they bring the machine and they measure all the stuff and they check that you're not having an actual
heart. Yeah, I was under stress at the time. Then it's a heart attack. If it's not, then it was your mind basically causing that problem.
My blood pressure was off the charts and all this other stuff was happening to me. I felt like I was just going to collapse. I remember thinking I couldn't even get to the phone. It took me a minute to get to the phone. It was 3 a.m. and I was in Oregon in a hotel and having to just finally get the thing to call them this. And it feels like this is it. That's the thing. The panic attack feels like, just say goodbye. This is the last of you're going to be. And I'm like, all right, it is what it is. He came and gave me an aspirin. And
feels like you're about to go meet your maker.
Pretty much. Pretty much. That's the scary part about having, if people have never experienced an anxiety attack or panic attack, your mind can't calm your body down. Even though you're saying, it's okay. It doesn't work. I don't know why, but I think when she came and just kind of held my hand and calmed me down and just said, I think it's a panic attack, it helped. I also think I encouraged the fear in me because we have heart history, between all our family members, that I think I also made it worse by thinking that, oh, maybe it's my time with the heart. Yeah.
Yeah. That's unfortunate, Rose. Sorry to hear
Right.
that.
You know, those things, they don't kill you, they make you stronger.
Yeah, because I know that I was in Fiji with you at that time, and that none of us had that level of sensitivity to comfort you.
Yeah.
And I know that, Dad and everyone around was laughing because I think we thought it was funny, but I didn't realize the impact that had on you and like how it just, carried you through the rest of your life. Right. That's scary.
Yeah.
For me, my first experience, I've never had I don't know what this was, but I had something. So I've never had anxiety or panic attacks growing up, but this is going back to about, I'm just trying to think, I think it was maybe 2021. Because the pandemic was in 2020. So I think it's 2021. So this was, I was on a new team, new department. We're in basically right in the middle of the pandemic. It's the year 2 of the pandemic now, full year. Everyone was just going through something at work. And I remember driving in the morning to work. And prior to that, I was having these weird, like, nervousness, chest feeling. And I'm like, it's just probably the hormones, ant flows coming. And I remember driving along the highway. And then I just started to get really hot all of a sudden. And I, was in the fast lane and I moved into the slower lane. And I'm still like, what is going on? I felt like I was going to faint. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to crash into someone. And it was just, I don't know what happened. Like maybe Jesus took the wheel. But I remember going through the tunnel. I was coming from Surrey to Richmond. And I felt like something thud. And I'm like, oh my God, like what the heck is going on? I have no clue. I was a nervous wreck. And I still managed to somehow get towards the end of the highway. And this was about a 10-minute stretch. I'm feeling all these range of emotions, like heart's beating fast. I'm sweating. I'm getting dizzy. I'm like, what's going on? And I remember pulling off to the side and going into like a Tim Hortons parking lot and trying to breathe. And I came out of the car. I was like, like now I'm going to really gasp for air. And just, I couldn't calm my breathing, and my chest and my heartbeat was just going at it. And I had no clue what that was. And I remember going after, I still made it into work. And it was just like, you still have to go into work. You have to be professional. And then I remember the entire ride home, I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God, is this going to happen to me again? What the heck was this? I remember the very next day, I told my manager that I'm going to be working from home. Because, at that time, we would only go into the office like once a month or once every couple of weeks. So I was, able to get myself a bit of a buffer to go and sort this out. And I remember going and speaking to my doctor at the time. He's like, oh, you're too young for a heart attack. This is, you're 41. This is not happening. I'm like, well, what the heck was this? And I remember them sending me with a hard wire where they check is it like a monitor? You sleep with something that monitors your heart all night. And I remember bringing that in. I think it went to the EKG specialist. Your heart is fine. I'm like, well, something's not fine. We have to dig deeper. I remember I went for I think it's called an EKG test, a stress test, all of these gamut of tests, and they found nothing. And I'm like, is anyone going to be able to tell me what this was? And they didn't know what it was. It was just me going online and researching heart attack-like symptoms. And that's where I learned it was either an anxiety, or I don't think it was anxiety. I think it was a panic attack, just because I've hit the age of 40 and your hormones are changing. But it's also, I think, the amount of stress that came on, because it was a fear of the unknown.
Right.
All of my colleagues were connecting with me at that time, and we were all confiding in one another. And I like to be the strong one, be the general and take on everyone's problem. And I just think I took on the weight of the world, of everyone's problem, trying to counsel. And I didn't realize that was having a negative impact on my health. So for me, holy Hannah, that was, I still remember that till this day. And I'm not proud of this, because I think when you have things that make you anxious, or when you're in a situation that's fearful, you got to go back and tackle that and go back and deal with it. It's been 3 years. I've never driven back on that highway.
Wow.
That's terrible. So one of my things this year is to conquer that, because
I'll go with you.
That's the route that I go to work every single day. So me, I went and figured out another plan. I'm like, I got to figure out either I got to find another job, or I got to figure something out. And I figured out that there's a park and ride that's literally 5 minutes from where I live. And there's an express bus that just takes me to work.
Wow.
And it literally gets me to work way quicker than I can drive. Because before it was taking me an hour and 15 minutes. And imagine that whole hour and 15 minutes, the anticipation buildup.
Right.
Now I just let someone else drive me. And then my wonderful employer decided to bump up our transit green commuter pass. And they pay for our whole way, like our transit.
Win-win.
I'm like, why would I drive?
Yeah.
But I need to go back and overcome that, because I'm still psychologically thinking about that. What was that? So we all might be doing a drive and maybe we'll GoPro it and we'll record it and let's see the range of emotions that I go through.
Yeah.
Because it's still bothering me. So that was and see when you talk about it,
Yeah,
it
get you anxious. Yeah. Just talking about mine too. I was like, I'm getting a little anxious.
Okay, so that's 2 for 2 right now.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, shit.
Watch you take her on the highway, she just falls asleep. Sleeps her way through, wakes up. Are we there yet?
And you know what? I actually I'm only disclosing this to you two now. I actually told 2 of my colleagues at work, and a good friend of mine knows this. And my 2 colleagues at work were so amazing. They're like, just come with us or we'll drive your car. You drive. And when you start to get uncomfortable and you can't do it, Ange, we'll take over.
Wow.
Amazing friends, right? And so that's how I knew. I'm like, I got to deal with this because I'm not going to let anxiety, panic or whatever that was hold me back. Because girls got a mission. Girls got places to go. And I got to figure it out. And honestly, I can't rely on people to drive me around at the end of the day. I'm getting better at it, but I haven't gone back through that route in 3 years.
Wow. I didn't know that much time has gone by.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
So and we got to laugh through it because you have to laugh at your pain. So you can't take anything that's going through you seriously. Because I always say it's the universe's way to punk you.
Yep.
And try and bring you down.
Yep.
So we're 2 for 2 with something going on. Let's go.
Al, come on, bring it home. Bring it home, Al.
If you had this conversation with me 3 years ago, I would probably say, no, I haven't experienced a panic attack, or I may have experienced anxiety, but I didn't know what it was called back then. But I think growing up, I generally didn't have those emotions of anxiety. Like I didn't worry about things. I just kind of went day by day, go with the flow. So I just figured whenever I heard people talking about anxiety and having these issues, my original thought was kind of Neanderthal. And I'd be like, you're all in your head. You're just in your head. You got to figure something out, or you got to get stronger. You got to buck up type of thing until it happened to me. And then life was a little different.
Yay, it did happen. So 3 for 3.
3 for 3.
Yeah. So it happened 2 years ago. This was most of the stuff seemed to all happen after I turned 30 and I experienced losses, because I guess I've never really experienced major life tragedy until about 2020 when it started. And then when I experienced the losses, like my uncle, my grandma, my dog, and then my best friend. And when my best friend passed, it was just, we're still coping with it. But when it happened, I guess that's at that point where I just was my last straw, and I was just drowning myself in alcohol and weed and whatever they were giving me. And I think there's this one day where I was going back and forth to the friend's house, and it's like, you're always dealing with so many people, everyone's stressed, right? So I feel like I just couldn't take anymore. I came back home and I was lying down, and it felt the same. Like I was like kind of like half drunk, half sober type of feeling, where I just got up, went to go use the washroom. And before I did go up, I felt like my chest was really light. But when you drink a lot, you naturally have that feeling. So you get used to it. You're like, oh, this is just when you're drinking, you get that feeling of a very light and very loose feeling. So I went to go use the washroom, and as I was taking a leak, about done, I felt all of a sudden like it just felt like the lights were closing in on me, and I slowly felt like I couldn't breathe. And I heard my friend's voice, and he was like, open the door.
This is your deceased friend.
Yeah. He's like, open the door. And in my head, I'm one of those kind of clean freaks too. I'm like, I'm going to wash my hands first. So I wash my hands. And as I'm doing it, everything is slowing down. Like when you hear in movies and the voice goes roll, roll, roll like that, it started doing that. And all of a sudden I just like, okay, it's telling me just open the door. That's like, open the door. And I managed to make it to the doorknob. And when I opened it, I remember parts of it after where everything shut down and closed off, and I hit the outside is the laundry room. So I hit the washing machine and I fell down, and I don't remember that part. I just remember the part of opening the door and everything closing and me falling into it. And I guess I was out for I don't know how many minutes, but when I woke up with dad and everybody around me shaking me, telling me to get up. And I was like, what happened? I was like, I had no idea what happened. Like I just felt like I blanked out for like maybe in my head a minute, and then I just woke up to people waking me up.
Wow.
That was very scary because I was at the house. I think it was a couple days just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And there was a thud. That because I think where the washing machine is, there's some drapes or something there, and I think you collapsed there.
Yeah, because I think if that voice didn't tell me to open the door, I would have taken my time a little bit too much longer, and I would have fell in the washroom, and I would have blocked the door because you might not be able to get in. So it was like him telling me like just get out to the area where someone can help you, and then that was the first time ever in my life where I experienced something like that. I thought I was dying. I was like, first thing came to mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to see you. I'm going to hang out with you. And then I just
Yeah.
passed out, and that was it.
extremely
And
scary.
then the sad part was for me to get help or get some medicine, it was all through the phone because the doctors weren't in person. So I'd call and they literally would just send a prescription, and that's when they put me on, like they call it, this is what they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you something for anxiety. It's just an antidepressant.
Oh.
So and then once I got on it, that was a whole another ball game trying to get off of that, because it was a good year before I could get off of that, because it was the mental effects of it. Is the first month you feel amazing, you're like, wow, I'm so happy all the time. And then after that 1 month, you just become numb to everything. And after that, you're like, well, I want to get off of this. And trying to get off it, it was like, I don't know if they do this intentionally, but the pill is coded. So it's got a time release in there. So when you can't break it, it's not scored. This is the lowest dose you can get. And you have to manually try to break that tablet and wean yourself down. So they almost like they want to keep you on it, because me trying to get off it was like a yo-yo up and down. I'd be feeling times where I tried to bring my dose down, and I had this exact feeling. It was like, do you remember the movie Limitless?
Yeah.
Where they show the camera and when he's going through it and he zooms into like a bunch of frames, it goes doo, 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 like that. When I would try to come down on it and I would turn my head, it would be like boo, 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 boo.
Oh.
And first, it's kind of cool, but after a while, you're like, when I'm driving, I'd be like, what the hell is going on? And I would try to turn my head back, and everything was delayed. Like my head would go this way, and my vision and my brain would go boo, 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 boo. And then I would get it, and I'd be like, so if I took the pill again to the regular dose, it would go away.
Interesting.
So it was very, very strange. And I was like, I'm never going back on this again.
Wow.
Yeah. And they made it impossible. I was like, give me a lower dose. Like you have to half that tablet yourself. Like it's coded. It's almost impossible to half. Every time you break it, it's in pieces. And then it was strange. But I had to get on it because I was like, I don't want to experience the panic attack while I'm working or I'm driving. So that was my first experience, and hopefully, knock on wood, my last.
Thanks for sharing that. I think, Al, that's really important to the viewers to hear that story. So
I don't like to, as a man, I don't like talking about it, but as I'm getting older, I realize you have to.
And you're going to help people who don't want to talk about this.
Get it off your chest, and you say, okay, other people are going through it, then it actually makes you feel a little better.
Yeah. Well, that's the other reason why you decided to join us on the podcast.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
because I was the type of person like, don't talk about it, don't
hide it.
Yeah. And when you go out there, you put on this show like I'm the strongest man ever. Yeah, and that doesn't work. It doesn't last for long.
No. I think the strongest men are the ones that ask for help.
Yep, and show their vulnerability and understand that loss is huge. And multiple losses, no, it's not something that you can manage on your own.
Yeah, especially if they're close to you, like really close, where like they're like your lifelong friend, family, the person that you spend all your time with.
Your second father, absolutely.
So it's like you still struggle to deal with it. Like I still at a point where I can't have their pictures in my room. I don't have their pictures anywhere. Wow. I don't want to look at my phone right now. I'm still trying to get to that point where I'm mentally able to bring it in, because there's no joy that comes from it. I'm still like, why asking all these questions? So
I think because two of them went so young that doesn't.
With Grandma and Chico, I can understand because they're at their age, but lived a full life. But the other two, I'm still working on that one.
A loss is a loss is a loss.
A lot, right?
But when you have multiple losses in
a very small time period,
that's a lot for any human being to take. Right? It affects you, especially because those losses were you were very close to them.
You don't know how to process it, so you first thing you do is just I can't process. I can't think. You just get alcohol, because alcohol is the one thing that just numbs everything. It doesn't make it good, but it just numbs you for temporary, and you just hope that'll go away.
I spoke to a lot of people who've had losses, and that's the same thing they all said, is that the alcohol is the only thing that seems to numb.
Because it's the first thing that you can, it's the easiest thing to get, right? You drive out to your house 5 minutes, you're surrounded by 5 liquor stores. Right. You're not really surrounded by that many weed stores or any other substance out there.
Well, and I talked to people about that, and they said that didn't help them. Like the weed, none of that alcohol for some reason just is able to turn something off.
Yeah, it would just
numb you. And that seems to be numbing. They said the other stuff didn't work, but when you're in the initial grieving stage and you don't know how to grieve, because we're not taught how to grieve. A lot of people I've asked that question to have said the same answer you have.
And the hard part is that when you use the liquor and then time goes by, it actually starts making you more emotional, making you go up and down, and if something sad comes up, you just fall and tumble, and you don't have that, like the baseline to hold the strength. So that's when you realize, okay, now it's in reverse and it's causing me more problems.
So with that said, we know it's a heavy content. We're going to break it up, but we really, really hope you're able to connect with the three of us and kind of, I guess, share the struggles and join the journey with us with what this thing is called anxiety. We're going to beat it, first of all, and we're all going to thrive together. It's just going to take a little bit of time getting there. So with that said, we just want to wish you an amazing week. Please discuss your win of the week. Please take care of your health. Stay on top of it. Go to your appointments, talk to your doctor, your naturopath, acupuncture, massage person, hair person, therapist, whatever is in your tribe. like you're joined our tribe, find your tribe of people that are going to help you excel your best life yet. Let's elevate, motivate, and let's just be better than we were yesterday. It is a Tribe Called Dylan podcast signing off. We look forward to chatting and seeing you again next week. Bye for now.
Goodbye.
Take care.